In this video, I want to share with you 4 reasons why I personally invest in small businesses over investing in real estate and public market stocks. 4 reasons. Number 1 is for the cash flow. For the cash flow, baby. The cash flow is my number 1 reason why I invest in small businesses. Now, whether I'm building a small business or buying a small business, I'm going to put my money in the small business first over real estate, whether it's residential or commercial, definitely over public market stocks, because when you look at public market stocks, the cash flow is little to none. Some stocks or some ETFs you can invest in that you might get a distribution from. That distribution may be every quarter, every 6 months, or every year, but the cash flow is little to none. It's little to none. It's not a whole lot, maybe 1 to 2% annualized. So that means if at best your cash flow in a stock portfolio is, let's say, 2% dividends. Let's just say hypothetically it's 5% dividends over the course of a year. You put $100,000 in, 5% dividend is what? $5,000. Real estate, buy and hold, it's going to be somewhere between 5 to 10%, meaning that if I put $100,000 into a real estate investment, my cash flow, we're not talking about IRR, internal rate of return, all these other metrics, cash flow, 5% would be 5,000 of that 100,000, 10% would be 10,000 of that 100,000. I could take that same 100,000 and put it in the right small business, whether I'm building a small business that I know has a minimum viable product that I can sell and make money on, or I'm building a business. Either way, my cash flow is going to be 20% plus, hands down. I've done this multiple times. I own enough small businesses and I've acquired small businesses enough to know that it's not impossible, it's not even difficult to get a 20% plus return in cash flow on a small business over real estate, over public markets. Now, just as a caveat, I want to mention, because I fix and flip residential single families, okay? If you are fixing and flipping real estate, you're definitely going to exceed 20% plus cash flow returns, but that's if you are a full-time flipper. Here, I'm talking about buying and holding. Most people don't want to fix and flip. That's a very risky business. It's very stressful, and it's going to take a lot of your time, your energy, your efforts, your resources. It's going to take a lot of that in order to do it. So I'm referring to the buy and hold real estate strategy, whether it's residential buy and hold or commercial buy and hold. So number 1 reason is cash flow. I want that 20% plus return. Now, I also want to say before I go to the second reason is this. You have to think about the strategy that you have. I have a specific financial strategy that demands I make a certain amount of cash flow on a week-to-week, month-to-month basis, because I have overhead, I have payroll, I have my own lifestyle expenses that I have to pay for. And if I took all the money that I put in small businesses and put it in real estate or the public markets, I wouldn't have the business that I have today. I wouldn't have the staff that I have today. I wouldn't have the lifestyle that I have today. I'm not saying I wouldn't have a higher net worth. I'm not saying I wouldn't have more assets. What I'm saying is I've got more cash flow today. Now, at some point, my strategy is going to change, because I would want to start taking some of those proceeds once I exceed overhead, payroll, expenses, lifestyle. I can start moving it into more longer, solid assets that I don't necessarily have to do any of the legwork, where I can buy larger pieces of real estate that are managed by themselves, they take care of themselves. That becomes more passive, but you can still do it in small businesses as well. But number 1 reason is cash flow. My second reason is risk. And again, this might not be a reason for some people, but I feel like I'm risk averse. You know, I have a high tolerance for risk. Public market stocks low risk, but it shows in the little to no cash flow. Okay. Real estate, buy and hold, the risk is low to medium. Again, if you're flipping, it's going to be high risk. But if you are investing money in a portfolio of real estate, it's low to medium risk. Okay. Now, if you're going out there by yourself, you solo dolo, and you go get a loan to buy a property and you're going to rent this 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house out, you might run into some issues depending on what class, what neighborhood, what type of tenant profile you have. It could be risky, but for the most part, it's low to medium. I do small businesses for risk because it's medium to high, but the payoff is so big. And it also eliminates a lot of the competition. I see way more competition in the buy and hold real estate space than I do in the small business space, whether it's building a business, definitely buying a business, because a lot of people don't want to deal with the risk that comes with a lot of small businesses. I do, because I'm a small business entrepreneur. I have an ecosystem and a community of people that I can easily deploy resources into a small business. I'm standing in the studio of a 20,000 square foot venue business that we acquired just within the last year, that most investors in the public market or in real estate, even in small business investing, would not have even paid attention to, because the P&Ls or the issues that were present in the business, I was able to see the upside and make that acquisition. And it has been a tremendous asset to my portfolio. So that's reason number 2. Reason number 3 is what we refer to as scale levers. Now, what is a scale lever? Well, when you look at an asset, you want to figure out how many levers can I pull that can actually create scale in this business, that can scale the income, scale the opportunity, scale my client base, or whatever the things are that you want to scale. How many scale levers do you have? In the stock market, you really don't have any scale levers. I mean, you buy stocks, you sit on them. I mean, there are some that you don't control, like if the market shoots up and there's a gold rush in that particular stock, if you're in NVIDIA or something like that, and it just kind of goes up, but it can go down as well. So I don't see it as a scale lever. In real estate, there may be 1 or 2 scale levers, meaning that, okay, if I buy a multifamily property and it's a value add, okay, I can acquire it, and then within the next month or so, I can clean it up a little bit, put some paint, on it, and just touch up some stuff and bump the rent up maybe $20 to $25 or maybe $50, depending on what market I'm in. And if it's a 40 or 50 unit complex, that's a scale lever, because that's 40 to 50 units times $25 more a month. That's a scale lever. Of course, appreciation could be a scale lever if it's a hot market or if the rates go down and things change. But again, it's really not in my control as much as I want it to be as a small business entrepreneur. Here, my scale levers are multiple, because I can, for example, I can buy a business that there's no marketing. Okay, I can start marketing immediately. I can start running ads immediately. Maybe the business is ran by someone who doesn't have like technology in terms of a CRM, systems and processes. So I can automate the marketing and the sales, and maybe they don't have a sales team. I can hire 1 or 2 appointment setters who can start setting appointments, and maybe they have that, but they don't have a closer. There are so many levers you can pull. On the financial engineering side of the business, there are levers you can pull. You can acquire the business with little to no money getting in it, and you can use accounts receivables or the equipment to leverage a loan to acquire the business. Or maybe the business has reserves set aside for deposits for future business that you can utilize. There's so many levers you can pull. That's why I put multiple, because there are a lot of multiple levers that you can pull. The fourth reason is speed to new income. Speed to new income here is slow because, again, the stock has to go up. So it's going to be over time. It may go up, or it may have a dip, and then it may go up a little bit and dip, and it's going to look like that. With real estate, it could be like this. It could go down for a season, and it could start eventually appreciating. But again, the speed to new income can be slow because there's only so much you can do to a piece of property. Here, it's quick. You can go from 0 to 100 within a month, again, if you pull the right levers. And again, I'm not saying that real estate investing in terms of buying and holding is not good. I believe that once you have a substantial amount of free cash flow, you should start moving that free cash flow into more hard assets, long-term assets to preserve your wealth. But most investors, most individuals who might work a W-2 job and have a 401k, most small business entrepreneurs, they don't even have enough cash flow to pay their bills, to afford their lifestyle, even if they're not living above their means. And so I've seen a lot of students that I've worked with, a lot of clients that I've worked with, try to get into real estate investing, for example, but they're getting into it because they really need cash flow. Of course, they want the appreciation. They want the tax write-off with the depreciation and deductions. They want a higher net worth. They want to preserve their wealth, but they're not even in a financial position to take, let's say, $100,000, drop it in a piece of real estate, and just wait until appreciation happens and until some future time when the rents double or triple over the next 7 to 10 years. They need cash flow today, and you're not going to get it right there. You're not going to get it right there like you will get it here. Of course, this requires skill set. It requires strategy. It requires all the other things that these asset classes require. But this has been the most lucrative way that I've been able to get the cash flow. I like the risk because I know the reward is bigger. I have multiple scale levers. I have speed to income. And then there are some other benefits that we're not talking about. Few benefits with the public market stocks. Number one is liquid. It's liquid, right? I mean, if you put $100,000 into the stock market today, and then within the next couple of days, you're like, yeah, I don't want to do it. I want my money back. You can get your money back. It's a liquid market. In real estate, it's illiquid, but there are more benefits. You have appreciation. You have depreciation. In real estate, you also have the preservation of your wealth because that property ain't going nowhere, okay? Especially if it's a commercial property. In small business, I believe that there are more benefits because you're able to get the appreciation immediately because that business value can go up immediately once you increase the EBITDA or the SDE, or for lack of another way of saying it, once you increase the cash flow and the enterprise value, you could buy a business that has a fair market value today of $100,000. You increase the revenue, you fix it, bring value to it. That $100,000 business could be worth $500,000 in the next year or 2 or 3, and you can flip it. So I see a lot of the value in the small business. And again, I invest in real estate. I'm just not a proponent of the buy and hold. Buy and hold, that's why I put buy and hold here, especially when you need the cash flow. You need to pay the bills today. You need to pay staff, and you have lifestyle responsibilities. You're not going to always get that. As a matter of fact, a lot of people who get into real estate investing, they're looking for active income, but it's really passive income in terms of and not just in terms of you being actively involved, but in terms of it's passive. It's not even on. Like the faucet is not on. It's passive. It ain't actively flowing the way you think it's going to flow. Unless, again, you're fixing and flipping. A lot of times you're not getting that from the buy and hold, and you're not even getting the cash flow from the stock. So again, these are just 4 reasons why I personally invest most, if not all of my money in small businesses, because I'm going to buy businesses that are immediately cash flowing. They're very risky, but I like the risk because I like the reward. I have a lot of scale levers that I can pull in day one of buying the business, as opposed to having that many in day one with the public market or real estate. The speed to new income is quick. As I said, I'm standing in a business acquisition that I made over a year ago, and not even a year ago. And the day we closed, we were signing a contract for a new client. And every day there's new business coming, and I'm pulling all these different levers, and it's scaling up in terms of income and value and opportunities. Where if this was if I bought the actual plaza, this venue is in a retail plaza. We occupy a third of this plaza, 20,000 square feet. So I'm giving you this last example. If I bought the plaza, okay, and this venue was a tenant in the plaza, I would not have been able to pull the levers other than just going up on the rent, changing the triple net terms, whatever the things are. It's not a whole lot of levers I can pull if I was the owner and this venue was the tenant. But if I am the venue owner, I have so many different levers that I can pull, because the venue, even though it's tied to a piece of real estate, is still a small business that I can scale up. So I would love to hear comments from you based on these 4 reasons that I have. And again, as I exceed lifestyle, expenses, payroll, overhead, I move money into buying, hold, long-term assets that I can park money for wealth preservation purposes. But on that come up, definitely small businesses.